What's up, everyone? We're guns to talk about the turtles. What'd you guys think?
That was your intro. That was like not like Cowabunga, my dudes, or something like that.
Cowabunga, you
Okay,
happy?
yeah. Thank you. I am because of that.
Maybe not to the tag, but okay.
Okay. Anyway, I liked it. I thought it was a solid film. It was cool to see, you know, like again, unique animation is a cool thing to see, and I think this film had that in spades, and so I think that definitely gives it points in my book.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the animation was obviously going to be one of the more crucial aspects of the film, I think.
Mm,
You know, that and I would say the writing. And I would say both of those two elements for me, the film excelled. It felt with the writing that they actually did a really good job of writing what teenagers sound like and talk like, which is something we
mm,
don't really see that often. And so that was obviously nice. Part of that probably has to do with Seth Rogen.
mm,
Being I think one of the taglines or one of the things in the early trailer was permanent teenager Seth Rogen. So
mm.
fits perfectly. But yeah,
Yeah,
overall, I really enjoyed it. It was a lot of
yeah.
fun, and there were parts of it that were just absolutely delightful.
Like it is funny. Like I sort of like in preparation for this, I also watched the original live action Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles film from like 1990, and it has very impressive like animatronic suits and all that. I imagine was very difficult to film, but the the teenage nature of the characters here is like a massive contrast to that original film where they're all essentially adults with the exception of Michelangelo, who's slightly more immature, but like besides that everyone's essentially just a person. And well, here I got to give credit, like everyone a felt like a teenager but also felt very distinctive here. Sometimes I think turtle media can have the issue of like not giving everyone enough space or enough personality, and I think here they did manage to do that. I gotta give credit where it's due.
Turtle Media, that's a
Turtle
good one.
Media.
I like that.
Yeah,
There have been many iterations of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles,
That's
from like
true.
the
Most
films,
recent was
cartoon,
what, 2014?
something
Or
like that. I
or
think there might have been an even more
okay.
recent one.
the
Oh, but yeah,
2014 had a
for film.
sequel in 2016, I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
So this was
Yeah.
the first Ninja Turtle movie since then.
Mhm.
I have never, this is my first Ninja Turtle experience.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Same. I think I'd seen the TV show, but first film.
Mm,
Yeah.
I might have seen a couple episodes of a TV show years ago.
mm,
Uh, I knew who the characters were just based on internet culture
mm,
and Turtle Meat, but I think what we get here, and God damn it, I'm gonna say it, the animation is as refreshing in the animation genre as Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse was 5 years ago.
mm,
It is that unique of a like an art style where it doesn't feel like anything we've seen before, and with a story and a world like what we have with the Ninja Turtles,
mm,
much like what we have with Spider-Man, is an opportunity to really showcase that art style. And it completely comes across in this film in a really artistic and beautiful way
mm,
where, you know, I don't need to be the biggest fan of the Ninja Turtles to enjoy this movie beyond the vocal cast, beyond the script, beyond, the soundtrack and the score, whatever, and just visually take in a truly stunning movie. I
mm,
mean, I would say Spider-Verse is probably a more beautiful film,
Mm.
But in an age where we're seeing animation, at least in the mainstream, grow more sort of streamlined and it all kind of looks the same. Like everything Pixar's done in the last 3 or 4 years is identical. That those
Yeah.
all those stories could take place in the exact same world, and it would make sense because all the people look the exact same. So when animation is becoming so bland in so many different films, to get something with a visually striking art style like Spider-Verse or like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem,
Mm.
I didn't think I'd see this movie at the beginning of the year, but here we are talking about it on the pod.
Oh, yeah.
We are in a situation where I'm saying that I enjoyed this film largely due to its visual presentation. And I
Hmm.
think that's the most important takeaway that I have from this
Hmm.
movie.
Yeah. I'm slightly surprised, but like in retrospect, not too surprised. But I would say I'm probably the closest thing to a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles fan, even though I wouldn't describe myself as one, but I think I watched like the 2004 show a fair amount when I was very young and all that. And so the one I would say my main criticism of the film is that, and in a way this is good because there doesn't have to be one version of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Like there can be multiple versions, so it's okay if like this one aspect doesn't click with me. I kind of felt like their origin in the sense of how they became ninjas was lame. Like, it's just like, oh, a rat
I
who
mean,
got
they
it's
did a training montage. I think that covers it.
like what I would say is that I watched 80s action movies when I was younger. I don't currently know how to blow up a building or snap someone's neck from from that.
I
I
would
kind of
hope not
felt
because it
like
would have snapped my neck a while ago.
mm, true, true. No, no, but it's like I I kind of felt like Splinter in this film, like he's just a guy, and that's again a unique way to do it, but I think I do prefer like Splinter being like feeling like an old master who's like has infinite knowledge to give. I like that dynamic, and so here having Splinter be so ordinary, I think I would say it's one critique at the film that I had. Their version of Splinter I felt wasn't as good as other versions of him.
I think you're right in that much of Splinter's presentation here is pretty ordinary.
Hmm.
Again, I don't know much of the lore, um, but you know, we see the training montage where he's teaching them, skills with martial arts and weaponry, and then we see him in the third act where he's sort of kicking ass. So I feel like what you're looking for, Declan, is there, but maybe not to the extent that you might have wanted
Mhm.
from other presentations in other turtle media.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think
yeah.
that's a fair point though, Declan. But I do think that part of what I took away from this movie is that there are an increasing number of, ordinary people that we and characters that we encounter throughout the film. But that's okay because it's not really about the powers. It's not about the mutations. It's about the family that comes out of it and the connections and relationships that were established throughout the film, right? The first relationship that we're kind of introduced to is a father and son, and it parallels throughout the film with Splinter and the four boys, um, and it ends with mutants and the boys, and finding their own place in the world. And I think it's one of those things where it's like it's okay to be ordinary.
Mm.
It's okay to have a bit of a mundane backstory, learning from 80s and 90s karate VHS tapes, which is fun and it's whimsical. And I don't know that much. Again, like George, I don't know that much about the backstory of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but I believe in the comics and everything, he's Master Splinter, and he's not
Mm.
actually their dad that raised them
No.
necessarily. It's,
I mean,
or
it's
at
like a
least it's not
found.
leaned into. It's more of a,
Hmm.
you know, oh yeah, you raised us, so you're like our father figure. But like here, they really leaned into you are our dad.
Hmm.
And it's kind of that found family story that permeates throughout the entire thing, and I think it works. I think it's done really well, but your point is absolutely taken.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I think uh, again, it's like to some extent, like this is unfair because, like, the film, like I said, there's been so many versions of the turtles that, like, I almost feel like it feels wrong to criticize it for being like not like other things, but I think there could have been a balance struck, but I don't know. Like I said, that's like what I would say is like my one semi biggest criticism of the film. I do like, yeah, I feel like, though, like, I got to give credit where it's due. The cast of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles sell it for me on them, like them having learned all this stuff and like working towards it. Like, I do, like, I gotta give, like, yeah, the cast here, I think, did a great job voice acting these
Yeah,
characters.
let's get into that because our four leads here, Micah Abbey plays Donatello, Shimon Brown Jr. is Michelangelo, I'm reading the cast list off my phone here. Nicholas Cantu is Leonardo, and Brady Noon is Raphael. Brady Noon is probably the best known or most well known of those four. He was in Good Boys. He was in that horrible Jennifer Lopez movie, Marry Me, that I
Never
never
saw
saw, but it was reviewed terribly, and we never did it on the pod. Um, but everyone else in the cast, that's who they advertised when they were talking about this movie. You got John Cena and Seth Rogen as like Rhino buddies. You got
Mm.
Ice Cube. You got Io Adibri. You've got Maya Rudolph. Jackie Chan plays Splinter.
Oh
You
yeah.
know, Paul
Paul
Rudd,
Rudd,
Who
who
did he play?
I will be on.
the
He
lizard,
played the lizard dude.
Oh, that was
Uh,
Paul. Okay,
I
okay.
honestly
Skater
like.
boy.
I thought it was Andy Samberg through the entire movie, and then I saw the credits, and I was like, "Yeah, it's Paul Rudd. I see it
That's
now." But before we talk about, and I wanna focus on Jackie Chan, Iowa Debris, and Ice Cube. But before that, let's talk about the four boys because these are four actual real life teenagers who were actually in a recording booth together
mm,
where they improvised a lot of the dialogue and they could sort of play off each other in the moment, and it really, it sings. We've got four kids having a blast playing Ninja Turtles. It
mm.
works. I mean, their
Yeah,
their vocal performance is really really strong. What do you guys think?
Yeah, no,
yeah,
I didn't. Makes total sense that they were all in the booth together, but I did not actually know that was the case. That's yeah, that was really came through in the film itself. That makes a lot of sense, and I think they all did a great job. Like, I don't think I know any of them from anything. Maybe I saw, like, yeah, no, none of their names ring a bell. So they did a great job here, honestly.
yeah. They really did. I mean, like I said, the writing was there, but I didn't know that that they were able to improvise as much as they did.
Mhm.
So they clearly had some great chemistry and played off each other really well.
Yeah, I think what we get from improvisation, and I learned a little bit of this, you know, as a student director when I was working on Putt Putt, and that's improv. A written script, no matter how good it is, can never match raw natural talent to improvise.
Mm,
And I saw that from my two actors on set, and we see it here because the clearest indication of, you know improvisation versus scripted content. And maybe I'm dead wrong about this because, again, unqualified. It's in the description of the play.
Amen.
But what we see is kids shouting over each other, and it's funny as hell.
Mm.
And you can write, dialogue for them to say and to be shouting over each other, but there's a certain sort of raw element and natural sort of chemistry that we get out of the moments where all the boys are, yelling at each other or trying to talk over each other. A lot of their interactions with April, I think,
Mm.
have moments like that, where the improvisational skills of these teenagers, you know, really really shine through, and we get something genuinely, you know, funny and fun.
I think like if it's yeah, no, it's just I think it's a remarkable achievement, for them them like maintaining these characters and it's having it always feel realistic but never like meandering, like that's a criticism often applied to some of like the lesser Judd Apatow like comedies where like they let the actors just go off for like too long and it takes away from the story. I mean, admittedly, that's just much harder to do in animation, but nonetheless, still, it's like the fact that I didn't know they were improvising and it all just felt so natural, I think is, yeah, again, credit to
I
all
mean,
of them
the
for.
the
Mhm.
script wasn't the film wasn't entirely improvised.
No. It's just like,
there is
it,
scripted dialogue in there, but yeah,
yeah,
I get your point.
yeah. It wasn't
Um,
like a 20-minute scene where they're talking about their favorite lyric in sicko mode or something like that.
Max, what do you think?
Yeah, I don't really have much to add to that. I mean, they're spectacular. And like that they're actual teenagers
No.
is makes it even better. Because and even in Into the Spider-Verse and Across the Spider-Verse, we don't have actors playing characters the same age.
Mm.
So it's just nice to have that and see like, oh, they're also really good. Um, yeah.
Yeah, and they sort of go moment for moment with, matching the moment. Saying moment too much.
Mm.
But they sort of go toe to toe with Iowa Debris, Ice Cube, and Jackie Chan. These three, to varying degrees, established performers. Um, let's start with Iowa Debris, because she is one of my favorite performers right now. Just because I love her in The Bear.
Mm.
She picked up a role on Big Mouth, which is a animated show. Um, she's got a new movie coming out soon. She's taking off as a performer, and I love that for her. She's insanely talented, and she plays probably the fifth biggest role in the film, which is the biggest role outside of the Ninja Turtles.
Mm.
April O'Neil. So, Io, what do you guys think?
I feel like her version of I feel like she felt like the most distinct from like her the original version of the character that I'm more familiar with. And the fact that I feel like she managed to like like put like give the personality to April like without it feeling some degree of like oh they're trying too hard to make her different or something. Like the fact that she did just feel like this character I think was a good thing on their part. I think on her part as well. You know, I think they did a good job with April here.
Yeah, like I said earlier, she's just one of those wonderful, ordinary characters. She's just a high school kid trying to make it and not get bullied. Like that's very normal. It's something that probably most kids watching this film can look at and be like, yeah, I want people to like me too. But I think one of the things that stood out to me was her whole thing about doing things for the right reason and having that own realization sort of towards the end of the film of, or well, maybe not the end, but you know, towards the latter half, and where she realizes that, yeah, I want to, you know, I want to be liked, I want to be popular, but I want to do the right thing first. And you know, having that connection between her and the four boys was just a wonderful foundation of their relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, as the sort of bridge between the turtles and the human world, sort of, you know, that foray into the second act where we see the turtles really interacting with people for the first time, and April is, you know, that first person before they go beat up the garage full of thugs. Which, I mean, the way that they animate the action in that scene, and then at the end of the film, was so good.
Mm-hmm.
I wish I had seen it on a bigger screen. I saw it in probably the smallest theater near me. There are a few theaters that I usually go to, and I try to mix it up, but you know, it was only playing at the time I needed it to play on a somewhat smaller screen.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely this one in IMAX.
Mm.
But the visuals, I mean, I think they would hold up on in, you know, large screen format.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, back to Iowa Debris as April O'Neil. I think what gives her character sort of nuance is the vocal talent of Iowa Debris, where she can play, you know, more maturity like we see in our character of Sydney and the Bear, but also that sort of teenage, unsure of herself, uh, sort of lack of maybe complete social awareness that we see from her character Missy in Big Mouth. And it's sort of a blend of those two characters where she is not someone who's figured, you know, life out and high school out, but at the same time she sort of has to be this guide for Michelangelo, Donatello, Leonardo, and Raphael. So it's sort of finding that balance of who she is and, you know, discovering what her place in this story is. And Mac, you hit the nail on the head with the whole deciding whether you're doing something for the right reasons is her character arc.
Mm.
She sort of imparts that lesson on the Ninja Turtles as they figure out how they want to, one, approach the Superfly situation, and two, reveal themselves to the world.
Mm-hmm. Also
So,
got
no, go ahead.
no. I was just gonna say it's like you bringing up Superfly just there just reminded me. I you might have been segueing into this. I gotta give I gotta just give credit to Superfly felt like a pretty strong villain to me. All things considered, like I don't know. I liked him, but what did you what did you think, George? I see that face there.
I was segueing. We were right there. So you and I, same page.
There you
Um,
go.
Nicely done, boys. Well done.
yeah, I think I think what we get from Ice Cube is a pretty standard fare Ice Cube performance, which is to say he's good at comedy. I
Mm,
had fun watching him.
Yep.
And I think, you know, Superfly, he's maybe not a Shredder level villain
no, no.
for the Ninja Turtles, but I think for their origin story and for the presentation of this version and this sort of iteration of their story, because we are going to see a sequel. the mid-credit scene was very clear about that.
Mhm.
And the critical and commercial success of this film have been very clear about that.
Mm.
But Ice Cube, you know, whether we're seeing his face or whether we're seeing almost his emotions and facial expressions that we would expect to see from real life Ice Cube, like on Superfly's face,
Mhm.
you know, there were eyebrow lifts and sort of mouth movements on an animated mutant fly where I was like, you don't have to tell me that this character is voiced by Ice Cube. I know. Like
Mhm.
that's clear. And I think, credit to the animators, credit to the
Yeah.
directors for
Yeah.
Mhm.
realizing that opportunity and taking advantage of it, because that just it doubles down on how awesome it is to have Ice Cube playing a villain like this. And
Mhm.
then just the
Yeah.
way that he delivers his dialogue is, you could tell, you know, a lot of his scenes, I know he was in the booth with the four teens who played the Ninja Turtles. They were all in the recording booth together. He, you know, he has that same chemistry with each of them that they have with each other. And I think it's not always easy to have great chemistry, especially in an animated superhero movie where a lot of times the actors are all on their own recording their dialogue. Really smart choice to put them in the booth together. Really smart choice to have them sort of play off each other and again go to that improvisation and just feel out the chemistry in the moment where you can get really, really nice sort of gems that maybe you weren't planning to have, but then end up in the final product.
Mhm.
And Ice, he's one of the kings of that. He's so good.
Yeah. I'll say I was slightly surprised by the film, like a a theme that like was more prevalent than I was expecting, especially from the trailer, was like the effects of like deep hatred, or like not, yeah, like or like the way people deal with hatred, in the fact that like Splinter and Superfly have like Splinter realizes that his dislike of
Declan, if I
humans.
may,
What? Mm-hmm.
if I may, it's it's Magneto and Charles Xavier.
Mm-hmm. True, true. I think it's a little different in, well,
No,
in,
it's
in
pretty
that.
good.
No, never mind, never
It's pretty
mind.
good.
It's like I guess what I'll say is Charles Xavier doesn't start off hating humans like Magneto does, but
Yeah, you're right.
mm, still, it's a fair point. But yeah, I wasn't expecting that from the film, and so I thought that was an interesting inclusion. And again, the fact that, yeah, I do feel like Ice Cube managed to, like, it didn't feel like, oh, he's a cool guy and all of a sudden is evil. Like, it somehow, like, it, yeah, he always felt like a cohesive character as a bad guy, even when he's doing bad things. It's like it feels like the same person as the seemingly nice guy that the turtles initially met. I thought that was good.
Yeah. It
Yeah.
was weird not hearing him drop a number of obscenities throughout the
Yeah.
film, but because there
Yeah.
were some prime moments for a well-placed F-bomb from Ice
Mm.
Cube that never came.
Having Ice Cube be PG, not what I would have done. Family movies are family movies. I get it.
Should PG movies
Can
get
you
one F
toss
bomb?
can you toss us a PG-13 rating for one F-bomb?
Mm.
That's
I think
please.
I think
Because
that's
kids are
valid.
still gonna see it.
It's valid. Valid. Rogan, you hack. Do it. You want it. No.
So one more note on the cast before we move on. Jackie Chan,
Mm.
no stranger to playing martial arts mentor roles. Um, maybe one of the best ever to do it. I mean, he is, instantly recognizable in his vocal performance. He has that sort of paternal feel for the turtles. When he's narrating his sort of backstory and the exposition, Declan, um, where we sort of see how he met the turtles and how their upbringing went and how they all mutated, you know, and then throwing the surprise human world party for them, and then his role in the climax. And I'm really glad they got him involved in the climax.
I agree.
That character, from what I've read, deserves that kind of role, and I hope we see more of that in the sequel.
Yeah.
But yeah, Jackie Chan, I love him. I always
Mm.
love seeing his performances, animated or live action. He does a great job here, and I think he's one of the clear standouts in a cast of all stars. So what do you guys think of Jackie?
Yeah, I
I
agree.
agree completely. Just, it would have been nice to see him do a couple of stunts, but obviously
Yeah,
a little unrealistic with
I'm
the style.
surprised. I'm surprised I haven't seen the filmmakers talk more often about how Jackie Chan, in order to properly do it, decided to transform into a rat man in order to get the character right. He does his own stunts, man. No,
Yeah,
yeah.
everything else was animated, but Jackie Chan was doing mocap.
Mm. He lived in the sewer for five days, just to prepare. No,
That's what Chris Pratt and Charlie Day did for the Mario movie. They lived in the stores.
Oh my gosh, it's
True, I
true.
did hear that.
Yet another 2023 animated movie that we are going to be seeing a sequel from in the next
Yeah,
couple of years.
One of them is
that with the
better.
climax that involves saving New York City specifically.
One of them is
That
better.
Declan, that sounds like the makings of a Letterboxd list.
Oh my God.
Might be right.
Letterboxd out of context. We love you. Please accept more of my insane lists that I make on Letterboxd. Thank you. So before we wrap up, I want to talk about the sort of we've talked about the animation and the visual style, but I want to talk about the way action is presented, because we have a sort of martial arts focused team of heroes, which in the superhero genre is already pretty unique, at least in cinema of the last 10 years. And with this visual style that shows up in this really refreshing animation, what did you guys think of the way that we'll call them stunts and sort of fighting sequences, action battles, and such, were drawn and animated and laid out, and their part in the story? What do you guys make of that?
I think it was excellent. Like, the action we got, I felt like I again, it's like a credit in, like, many great. There have been great uses of animation to make better action scenes in animated films in recent years. Again, like Across the Spider-Verse recently, did fantastic stuff. Even Puss in Boots Last Dream had some great sequences. And I think Last Wish, thank you. Last Wish. Last Wish as well. And I think this film too does a great job at, like, having everything feel like, kinetic, but also just really well choreographed. I think they did a great job on that too.
Yeah, it did exactly what worked. I think Across the Spider-Verse and Into the Spider-Verse, that those two films purposely pushed boundaries and did kind of out of this world things. This one did too in its own way, but it also felt very down to earth, low to the ground.
Mm-hmm.
obviously that's part of it, is that it is low to the ground. It is sort of street fighting to a certain extent. And it was pretty seamless. Like it worked really, really well. I mean, George, you brought up the garage scene. That's a standout. Or that is the standout.
Mhm.
Uh, Unbelievable.
I also like the montage where they were going after the various like goons under Superfly. You know, it was like I thought that was very cool as well.
Yep.
Yeah, I think what animation presents is an opportunity to do something that you maybe couldn't choreograph in a live action setting. Maybe you can, you know, there are some choreographers and stunt coordinators and fight operatives who, you know, have that ability, I'm sure. And I haven't seen every movie ever, though I've tried. So what we get in animation is a really cool opportunity to do the impossible almost. And I feel like, you know, what we get in again, the garage sequence is probably my favorite scene in the film, is an opportunity to showcase so many different things all at once where, you know, we've got the combination of beautiful artistry, but also stunt work that is sublime for animation or would be in live action.
Sorry.
I was just setting you up for that, Max.
Thank you.
So special shout out to Giancarlo Esposito and Rose Byrne and Paul Rudd and Post Malone and Hannibal Buress and Seth Rogen and John Cena and Maya Rudolph and Io Adibri. And of course, Mike Abbey, Shimon Brown, Nicholas Cantu, and Brady Noon. One of the deepest animated voice casts we've had. We don't do animated movies that often, but we get some deep casts when we do. Spider-Verse was great.
Oh, yeah.
Mario movie had a really, really impressive cast.
Mm-hmm.
So before we wrap up here, do you guys have any final thoughts?
No,
really.
it's a great, good film.
Yeah, really enjoyable. There was a lot of out loud laughing in my theater. So
Yeah, I was one of 4 people. It was me, and then I was sitting sort of middle, and then way in the back there was 2 parents with their probably 10-year-old son. So that was an experience. The kid talked a little bit during the movie, but I'm pretty sure no one else knew I was there because I was kind of slouched down in my seat. If I had said something, it would
That's
have been
forgivable for a 10-year-old.
Yeah. Not like the Mario movie where I had kids like stomping their light up shoes right next to me.
Oh my God.
It's just horrible. So bad. So bad. So I'm gonna play us out with our good friend Mr. Benjamin Green with his 4-word review of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem.
I enjoyed the movie.
Amazing. Well done, Ben.
We just want to give warning. Please do not take that audio and use it in like various like different ways. Do not do that.
Do not take that audio and do that because we already have dibs. I'm doing that already. All right. We are back next week to talk about Meg 2, The Trench.
Oh God.
Hopefully we can convince Chip to join us because it was kind of his idea that we do this.
That's Ben erasure. Sure. This is as much
funny. Oh my God.
Get ready for our second Jason Statham movie of the year. I guarantee this one will not be as good as the first one. Meg 2, The Trench, Unqualified Film Bros, coming your way next week.
Let's go.
Have a nice weekend, everyone.
Good night.
Next.